we gave our review on the Amazon Prime show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and we said that, or we agreed that that show is based off the 2005 movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, right?
Yes, I feel like that's where it came the origination from.
Actually, the movie that is, was inspired by the show Mr. and Mrs. Smith back in the day by Quantum Leap's Scott Bakula and Maria Bello. She's done several films, but she did a movie called History of Violence.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and she's also has a role in Beef, that one on Netflix with Steve Ewan. Anyway, she's in it. So, yeah, so I was kind of surprised when I found out that the show, which was inspired by the movie, which was also inspired by a show that came out in 1996, which only lasted one season.
I'm not familiar with the show. Do you think the current show is more accurate to the previous show?
I have no idea. I never watched the show.
I didn't know if you Googled the synopsis or something like that.
No, all I know is that the movie was inspired by the show.
Okay.
So I don't know how the show was run in the sense of like, is it closer to the movie aspect, or the show on Amazon Prime is inspired by that show in the sense of the premise of what happened there?
Mm-hmm.
Because the premise here is a little different.
Yeah.
And on Rotten Tomatoes, you have this score, which I thought would change in due time because I know it got bad ratings originally came out. By the critics, you have 60%, and by the audience, 58%. So they're pretty relatively close. I have to say right off the bat, it needs to be higher.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a popcorn film, but after watching it again, I still had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
This is our throwback review of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. My name is Angel.
I'm Adon.
Where we give you a review at least once a week. Spoiler alert. So the movie came out in 2005, like I said earlier, starring Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Adam Brody that we know from where?
I'm just messing with you, Fokker.
Say what now?
No, that's the wrong guy.
Yeah, we know he's from Shazam and Shazam: Fury of the Gods. He's the Marvel kid.
Oh, I forgot about that. I'm thinking of the other dude.
What other dude?
The head of the agency from They Live.
Keith David?
Yes.
But which one? Are you thinking about Something About Mary?
Yes, I got them all mixed up.
Okay, so again, let's go over the cast again real quick because we have, yes, Keith David in it, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, as mentioned before, Adam Brody. You have also Kerry Washington, which I forgot she was in it. That's what I love about going over these movies, because you forget where a lot of these people, before they came like A-list actors, they had smaller roles in other movies or other projects.
Yeah.
Totally forgot Vince Vaughn was in this. You also have Angela Bassett as the mother. No, as the mother, because he was the father. Yeah, she was mother, but she was Brad Pitt's John's boss.
Yes.
So when she's talking to him on the computer and all this stuff, like, you know, the voice is a little distorted, but it's her.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like that in this premise. Unlike the show, the Amazon Prime show, you have John and Jane that they become a couple, right? Here, they are John and Jane, but they are working with the opposing team.
Yes, and they became a couple of their own volition under the pretense of a lie.
Correct. And during a mission that they met.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not sure it is the same, they were going after the same mark, but they were there at the same time.
It didn't seem like they were going after the same mark at that time. They've had the same marks at other times, but not that time.
It could have been because they were both there, which is kind of weird. You think about it, that they're both there and not be for the same mark.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, you have Homegirl, who was with Tom Cruise and Mark Wahlberg, who played a wife, not knowing that their husband was a spy, but she's a computer nerd.
Tom Cruise with Mark Wahlberg?
She played the wife.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a movie. I'm trying to think of a movie where Tom Cruise was with Mark Wahlberg.
Mission Impossible, the one on Apple TV, Family Man.
Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark.
Yes, he did a movie on Apple TV. Well, you don't have Apple TV, so never mind.
So the reference is useless to me.
The reference is useless to you.
Wait, so he did a movie with Tom Cruise?
Fucking God. Dude, the wife in the Mission Impossible films. We talked about this, that she played this, well, maybe not you, but with Kim, that she also played in the movie with Mark Wahlberg, who played a former spy that she had no idea. Okay. So, no, Tom Cruise and Mark Wahlberg did not do in the same film. But the actress who played wife towards the characters of Mark Wahlberg and Tom Cruise, she's in this.
Okay. So, using the words that came out your mouth, initially, they literally sounded like same movie, wife, Tom Cruise, Mark Wahlberg, all in one sentence. That's what came out your mouth.
How would the wife of two characters in the same movie?
What movie do you know about that? How do two spies marry together and become a couple when they work for two dueling agencies? No one does a background check, huh? Things happen in a fictitious world.
Dude, hello. What movie are you talking about? What movie are you talking about?
I went back to Mr. Smith, but the fact is, I'm saying it's a fictitious movie. There could have been a situation where one woman was married to another man, lied about it, and ended up married to another man.
But I'm talking about the actress. I'm talking about the actress.
Talking about the
that's
actress
in here.
What I'm saying is, I got confused because you said a phrase, and it sounded like it was for one movie when you were talking about two separate franchises and two separate movies, meaning that the actress played this role in two separate products.
Yes, she did.
And we're agreed about that.
Michelle Monaghan.
Oh my God.
Okay, Michelle Monaghan.
Okay, Michelle Monaghan.
That's the one. Excuse me, not the family man, but the family plant. But anyway, she's in it. She had a small role. She has bigger roles now. I'm just saying, in the past films that we review or rewatch to review, that is like, I'm surprised that this person was in it. The Therapist.
Yes.
We've seen him. He's in Batman Returns. Damn, he's so many projects that I just can't remember right now. But William Fichtner, he was the therapist. Even though this movie is like a romantic comedy, action, thriller, spy genre all wrapped in one, I found myself laughing a lot.
I think it says a very comical, humor-wise,
Yeah, Brad Pitt, hysterical.
His character's more the physical humor, where her character was more the intellectual humor, I want to call it. Like he'll stumble around, crash around, hit things with himself.
Right, but I think it was more like, say, like in Abbott Costello.
Okay,
he was Costello and she was Abbott. She was the straight person, while he is the comedic person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why I saw it. Like, you and I are 12 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
They're 12 years apart. Because I was looking, I was like, wow, she looks super young. Gorgeous, breathtaking at that age, even now still, because now she's 48 and he's 60. He still looks great. He looked awesome here. What I liked about this movie, for the most part, is their chemistry. I mentioned this before in the review of the show version, and it still holds up here. Their chemistry together is magical. It's electrifying. I'm sorry, I just found them great. And then, again, this movie is where they started dating. Brad Pitt left Jennifer Aniston to be with her.
Yeah.
But their chemistry is so electric. Now, is this a perfect film? No. Are there a lot of flaws? Yes. There's a lot of faux pas in the sense, like, for all the action and violence that ensued, no cops in the highway. No cops show up at the house, especially with the explosion or fire trucks, if you will. No cops show up at the final shootout at the store. And that happens a lot in a lot of these action films. Like, no cops whatsoever ever show up.
There was the one cops that were called by the neighbors. It was like that scene at John Wick. You're like, you working again? It was like they just showed up.
But who opened the door? They opened the door to the neighbors. That behind them, you could say there were cops, or you could say more like they were like neighborhood watch. Because they didn't look like cops to me. They looked like they were wearing some uniform and they were part of the neighborhood watch. That's what it looked like, because they're going to open a door. It's not the neighbors going to be asking questions. It's the cops. The cops will take over and ask questions about it.
Maybe unless they're like the Karens of the neighborhood, and they were like, this is the 20th time we've been on.
Karen.
Yeah.
They definitely like Karen.
We've been on this call like 20 different times. So we don't care. You can answer the door.
What was your favorite moment?
Dance scene, the tango dance scene. I thought that was very clever and very well done. Gotta love the fight scene in the kitchen in the house.
Me too. For me, it was the one where he sets the kitchen to explode, and then he bursts through the fire and the song goes on, express yourself, and they start fighting to the music, or the music is adjacent to the fight scene. But to me, that was the best part. The second best for me was the car chase after the house explosion.
I can see that.
They're fighting the attacks, but they're also arguing with each other. They're fighting about each other, like what was real, what was a lie. Like he tells her that he was married and she got pissed. And like while she's driving, she's hitting him and she's like, give me her name and her social security. It's like, no, you're not going to kill her. So I just find that funny in that aspect, in that, again, repertoire, like a real couple would. Maybe not in that situation. They're probably more in the sense of, trying to survive and focus on that. But with that relationship, they spent together 5 to 6 years married. They'll still have that banter going on. Any couple can, I think, will relate that in somehow, some way.
Positive way, I hope so.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean, even when they fought, really, in the initial fight, when they first find out about each other, it's like those moments, like the guy's trying to apologize, he's trying to get back, says something or does something that escalates the matter even more. Like when he shot the window by mistake, and like he probably had a chance to talk, and that went out the window. And then he's trying to get in the car, and she jumps out the car, and he's like, "We need to talk." And the car
that
jumps.
That was funny too, in my opinion too, because you see him like pointing. It's like, we need to talk, and it goes off the cliff, whatever you want to call it. But also, do you think that then that knife throw into the thigh was payback? Because she did it accidentally, supposedly.
Probably. Yeah, I guess maybe. I mean, there was a lot of things that were like payback adjacent. Like they got rid of all his stuff. And granted, I understand why, but for him, he would have felt like it was personal. All his stuff underneath the shed.
Oh, yes. And that too was hysterical too, because his reaction to that, every time I see it, I crack up. When he like punches the sky or punches the air, and he does it like 2 times later, right after.
Yeah.
And I just always thought that was funny. Just also to give credit of directed by Doug Liman and written by Simon Kinberg. Also, his stunt double here, which he did a lot of work, was David Leitch, who is very famous for the John Wick series.
Okay.
He directed Bullet Train, which was Brad Pitt as well.
Anything you didn't like?
It was too convenient in the sense of she knew right away it was him from him shaking his leg in the desert. I was like, really? Or that the chip that the computer girl found out where the address was and all that stuff, that it was Jane Smith. You would think he would know that address prior. You would think he would know all that information in the sense of going to the building, looking up the office number, and then seeing there. And to say, like, who's to say that even though it came from that office, how could it be Jane? It could be one of her coworkers. It could have been someone else, like infiltrating. I mean, to help move the story along, cool, I get it, but there's some flaws there, in my opinion, in the sense of she sees his leg shake, but she can't see anything else. She sees the back of his head, which is partly covered. No tattoos on him, which would have been better if he had a tattoo. Then she saw that. I was like, oh shit, that's it. I do like the fact that with her, it's all women. Like it's an agency, all women, and then but a male that leads it. Not that I like that part, but it's just the dynamic where the male leader, all the employees, if you will, is female, and then you have with John, it's kind of like the opposite, where it's male workers and then the female is the boss.
Yeah.
Kind of like yin and yang in that aspect. Vince Vaughn, as always, delivers, especially in the diner scene. And also at his home, he's like, Mom, I could have killed you right now.
It's like, we're at a code red.
Even though he's not directly involved,
yeah,
he's like taking on the burden, if you will, as if he is. So, I also like the part, because also David Lynch was also his Brad Pitt stunt double for Fight Club. Adam Brody is wearing a shirt that has Fight Club in it, and Brad Pitt, as full circle, that he's in Fight Club. Easter egg, if you will. What about you? Do you have a weak moment?
A very, very little. There were some things that just like when he was in the elevator. No, not the elevator. The air shaft.
Okay.
And they're like, he's coming up the floors. He's in the air shaft, and they're trying to escape. And they're zip lining from one building to the other. And they have like these huge, elaborate things to kind of zip line across. Like they're rocket propelled through those windows. Yeah, they blow out the windows and they shoot the zip lines.
No, well, it's not that they blew out the window. It's like it was a breakaway window that they, I guess, triggered.
Yeah.
And the zip line thing was connected to a rifle, and they shot it, and then the butt of the rifle was hooked onto a latch. So there had a detachable rifle barrel that was able to slide down. So
they didn't really slide it; just like it was propelled.
No, they slid down. They slid to it. It was in an angle. So that's
how it is. You just recently watched it. When I watched it at that time, to me, I'm remembering it as being pushed out the
No, I
window.
get.
Like they weren't sliding; they were.
That being said, did you watch the regular version or the unrated version?
What was the version on Amazon?
Oh, I bought the movie,
Oh,
so
I
I
probably
bought
watched
it
the
for the.
regular version.
Yeah, I bought the regular. I'm sorry, I bought the unrated version, which also included the theatrical version. And I can't remember since it's been a while. I don't remember what was added to it. I think what was added was some things. It's like 5 minutes, 6 minutes longer. That the final scene was extended before the therapist scene,
Okay.
before they asked me about the sex question scene.
Yeah.
It faded while they're shooting. They're trying to, like their last stand. They come out of the shed and they start shooting, and it seemed like it started to fade away, but maybe not. Maybe that's
That
that
sounds about
similar.
right.
I mean, granted, I have it on Movies Anywhere, and they have a lot of deleted scenes. I have a lot of behind the scenes, which I like. So I'll probably check that out later, and I'll probably watch the regular version to see if I can figure out the differences. And since this came out 2005, which is going to soon be this 20th anniversary for it, you think it's worth the watch?
Personally, yes.
Yes. Even though the Rotten score is 60 by the critics and 58 by the audience, this is highly watchable. The chemistry between the two, the comedy from Brad Pitt, the action done, because their fight scene in the house, wow, the jiu-jitsu and
the flipping over the couch and kick her while she was down.
Yes, that's what I'm laughing at. He kicks her. You see him like he pumps the leg back and hits her solid, and she comes with a foot right into his groin. You're like, oh, this is so good, done very well. Yeah, maybe the writing or maybe the premise is kind of unbelievable, but it's still fun. It's kind of cool, because it goes in a way like not every person in a relationship or couple knows about their partner that well, 100%.
Yeah.
Right? Even family members, like we know mom, we know dad, but we don't know them. We don't really know what they've been through in their lives or what they experience in detail. They know they've told us what they want to tell us.
Yeah.
I mean, I know dad is more honest in the sense of like his education, where mom said, oh, I was an A student. Apparently she's a doctor now. But and dad was honest. It's like, I was like a C student.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He was honest about it. Kim doesn't know me 100%. I don't know her 100%. I wonder sometimes if she's a spy, because every time I come by her, like she's in the bathroom, like about to do her hair or whatever, or she's in bed on her phone. As soon as I'm about to lay down, she just turns it off and puts it to the side. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? Like, why turn off the phone or something like that? It's like,
as opposed to you who keeps the phone on all the time, but on silent.
Well, yeah, meaning that I'm looking at Instagram, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I don't turn around. I don't turn it off as soon as like area to see. I don't go, or like click. I don't do that. Maybe she's a spy.
Maybe.
All right. Where do you see yourself? And it says, even though the scores are low, and of course it's been several years, do you agree with the scoring or do you think it needs to be higher?
I think it does need to be higher. I would put it in B tier, 80, 85. It's a good time. Like you said, some things just don't hold up as much. Granted, we couldn't come to mind of what exactly, but I was surprised the movie is 2 hours long.
It goes by.
It does go by.
Really no slow moments. I mean, the only thing I guess it was slow moments is when
they're reminiscing.
Not so much, but more like in the sense of when they captured the mark and they were asking him questions at the hotel before they get jumped, and at the Thanksgiving party.
Oh yeah.
Right after he did. Oh, and that scene too. Going back there, which is reminiscent to the Amazon Prime show where John goes into a place where they're playing poker.
Yeah.
And they did that in the show. And they have that here as well. But besides Jane taking the marks out,
he does.
Him.
Yeah.
Correct. And you still see the similarities in where like he improvises, where she's by the book, just like the show, and she's impatient.
Well, yeah.
They're both both Janes from the show and from the movie are both impatient. They vary by the book, where the Johns were more adaptable, more free thinking, more open minded, if you will, and still care and trying to like Jane is capable of defending herself, protecting herself. He'll say stuff like, watch your right, because you tend to go to the left. And like he wouldn't let her drive, but then he let her drive. Like he let her take control, where He still wants to be the provider, if you will, the protector. The show and the movie has those similarities. It seemed very natural, their acting, especially him.
Yeah.
Very natural, like almost like he co-wrote it. Like he knew exactly this character.
He felt like some of those lines were coming, and he's like, he knew how that moment was going to be.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It just felt very natural. Her too. I mean, she's 48 now. She was in her 20s in that movie, and he was in his 30s. And she looked young, but she has like an old soul because some of the clothes she was wearing, very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the scene where they show her first mark for us.
Oh, where she jumps out from the roof,
and then she goes down. Granted, in real life, that would never throw her arm out, or she'll hit the ground so hard. But I liked it. It kind of reminded me of also like Underworld.
The way they land, yeah.
When the first scene where she jumps off the church tower and then lands on her feet, kind of reminded me of that. It's a great popcorn movie.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, that is our throwback. Would it be throwback action?
It is throwback.
Action. It's more, yeah. All right, guys, that is our throwback review of 2005's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Have you seen it? What was your favorite moment? And as always, if you have a movie or show you'd like us to review, please comment below. And also follow us on Instagram. Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adon.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.